Yeah, I mean that night was pretty crazy. I got punched in the face like 3, 4 times on stage.
On
What?
stage.
Yeah,
Wait, what?
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I had hair and it was headbanging a lot, and there's like this really tall like dude it's up in front, and he kept on throwing his fists up like fist pumping, but I couldn't see him because I headbang, and every time I headbang like straight to his fist, and he kept doing it, and I was like, God damn it! So I tried to. The whole show was avoiding fists, and yeah, he got me like a good couple times.
Real quick before getting into today's episode, just wanted to shout out a few quick things. First of all, we have a Patreon. For as low as $1.50 a month. You can get early access to these episodes as well as your name in the credits. And with the $5 tier, you can gain access to member-only channels in our Discord server, as well as be a part of the group calls that Yan and I do every second Friday. Secondly, we have merch. Two designs that we absolutely love. You can find those over at indiemerchstore.com. And last but not least, we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, see these as they happen. We do those every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. Yeah, that's it. Links to everything I just mentioned will be in the description, along with links to our Discord server and our other socials. That's it. That's all I got to plug. Enjoy the episode. Sven, welcome to the show. How are you doing, man?
What's up? All good. Melting away in Europe, but all good.
Yeah, you were telling me that you're kind of going through a heat wave right now, eh?
Yeah, it's very hot in Europe. I think like back in the south of France, Spain, the temperatures are crazy. So, but fortunately, I have AC at home, so I've been marked safe from the heat wave.
Yeah, you checked into Facebook. Mark
Yeah,
safe.
exactly.
Cool, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I know you are one of those people that I feel are extremely busy across the board all the time. You've got many a projects, many a jobs, many things all the time. So I do appreciate you taking the time to do this, man.
Yeah, it should be a good time. Stoked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of balancing of the plates, that's for sure.
As long as not too many break, should be okay.
Yeah, we'll do our best.
Okay, so I wanted to kind of start off just real quick by saying that from just to kind of lay the groundwork on Aborted in my life, I guess, because the band's been around for we're looking at 30 years, right? Which is kind of crazy to say out loud. I'm sure crazy for you to say out loud. But for me, it's kind of one of the first bands that got me into some more extreme music. Someone shared me a few bands. It was like Cephalic Carnage and Devourment and stuff like that. But Aborted was there. And Aborted's kind of been a constant since, because I straight away didn't really get into the more technical or death metal route. Those were just kind of the bands that I was shown, but then very quickly pivoted into Suicide Silence and Whitechapel and like Deathcore. And that became like my whole world. But Aborted kind of just always was there, because I think there were like some similarities, not necessarily exactly in sound, but just in the contrast and just how things would switch up, highs, lows, like I don't know, in the same kind of way the Black Dahlia murder was always adjacent to deathcore without really being like a deathcore band. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that, especially for a band that's kept going since then, you guys keep getting crazier, and it blows my fucking mind. What's the secret sauce? How do you guys keep getting more extreme? Because let's be real, most bands go softer, not harder.
It's got to be the ADHD, man. I'm assuming. I don't know. I mean, I guess in a way, it's also being better at what you do, sort of. Throughout the years. I mean, when we started, there was literally no knowledge out there. There's no YouTube. There's nothing. Best thing you'd get was like a Dream Theater fucking drum VHS tape and then try to figure out some shit back then. I remember Flo from Cryptopsy had a drum DVD at some point. But like, especially when it came to vocals or harsh vocals, there was nothing back then. So it's just like kind of figure it out on your own. And as time goes on, you know, absorb more knowledge. And I guess the same goes for everybody in the band or every musician in the band. The longer you do it and the more knowledge there's out there, the more, you know, proficient you get at your instrument, which also kind of leaves room to, you know, check out more extreme, you know, ventures or avenues and keep trying to go faster and crazier and more technical, whatever. I guess. I guess that was one of the things that, you know, we tried to go a step crazier each record, and I guess we have sort of.
So that was like a conscious thing, like always trying to do to outdo yourself, and how do you get there? And just like a constant work on how can we take this to the next step?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, otherwise, I mean, to me, there's no point. You know, there's no point in keeping on writing the same record and do the same thing all over. So, I guess we either, you know, push in different directions musically or whatever, or we try to make it crazier than it was, or kind of a combination. For a couple of records, we had a bit more of a black metal influence in some of the stuff that we were doing, and then on the last record, I think we went just a little faster, more technical, and there's also a bunch more breakdowns and shit. And we did that crazy idea of having a guest on every song, which is great.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
A fun puzzle to deal with. Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it was cool, but it was definitely, you know, trying to figure out. Well, first of all, I did all the parts myself, and then afterwards we kind of like looked at who's going to go where and how are we going to get everything recorded. And then once you get all the tracks back and you're like, you're used to your own takes and you're like, ah, shit, I got to get rid of this. Damn it. You know, so it's kind of like finding the balance of, you know, what's best for the song. Some people took liberties and did their own thing with it, which was also cool. So yeah, all in all, really cool experience. But I think for the next one, I'm gonna have no guests or some shit.
Was this
to change it up?
Was this the first time you guys were doing guest vocals on an album, or it's just the way it was?
Oh no,
because you've done a bunch yourself for other bands and stuff. So
yeah. Don't ask me how many. I lost track, but we started doing guests back from the Archaic Abattoir. So I want to say back from 2005 maybe, or 4, something like that. Whenever that record came out, we had I think we already had 3 guests on that, and we kind of kept it the same throughout every record that came after. We had like a couple guests, like usually like a 2, 3, 4 guests per record. And then I saw Distant did that song where they had 500,000 singers on one song, and I was like, hey, no one's done the one guest per song, so I'm gonna do that.
What, they stole your idea? You were gonna do 7 vocalists on a track, and they decided to do 8?
No. Oh, they had more than 8, did they?
Yeah. It was
Wasn't
something
it more?
crazy.
I think it was more.
Like some like 15 or some crazy thing like that. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
How, I think from the outside looking in too, I think it was cool. I guess maybe for this record, and maybe that's why I was asking earlier if it was the first time you guys had any people on, because this one is like explicitly kind of quote unquote the concept, and it was explicitly like written within the song names, like featuring so and so of this band. Like, so I think from the outside looking, it was cool too to just see a bunch of worlds colliding, right? Just for the fans, like it's cool fan service to have other people come onto tracks and to give their own spin on it. And then, you know, for me, you know, seeing Ricky Hoover do a spot on the record, I was like, hell yeah, that's fucking badass. Like some cool stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. I was kind of like following the concept of what the lyrics are doing too, and the artwork, because we were mixing up kind of like half old school movies and half is like newer stuff, which is we kind of did the same with the guests too. That's why there's some old school people like Mac McGachy and Alex from Despised and a bunch of other people, and then we got the younger generation. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody, but everyone that's on the record's friends of ours and known for forever. So it was great to have a bunch of friends on there and add a certain texture of variation to the sound of the record on top of what was already happening.
It was cool. I saw you guys in Montreal on the recent headliner. And then it was cool seeing Alex come up and do his part. You know, there must be some cool moments like that too, just for tour to have people come up and do their parts.
Oh yeah, that was sick. That was really cool because I hadn't seen Alex in, I want to say, not 10 years, but close to. So to have him come out and actually hang out with him before the show and then having him come on was really cool because we known each other since 2000, I want to say like 5 or something like that. So we've known each other for like 20 years or something. I've known him since he was still playing drums in Despised Icon and he was playing drums in Neuraxis. So we met in Ghent in this shitty dive bar when he was on tour of Neuraxis, and then we toured together with Despised Icon back in the old days. And it was just really cool to have a collaboration with him after all this time, and then have him come on stage. It's really such a cool moment.
Yeah, you could tell too. The crowd loved it. You know, they saw Alex hop up and like people were cheering for it. It was like a cool, because people here are so fucking proud, of like bands like Despised Icon and Beneath the Massacre and stuff like that. So
to see
Alex come on is like hell yeah. People were about it. So it was a cool moment.
Absolutely, and they should be proud.
Well, yeah, I think some cities are just more proud about their local things than others. I think Montreal's particularly proud about their metal. I don't know what it is. I mean, there have been a lot of really cool bands, but yeah.
I think there's not a single time that people mention like, oh, you guys are from Montreal. It's like I have to say, I'm like, yes, same place as Despised Icon. Like I kind of have to say it. So I'm just like, so it's like, it's our band here, like it's like we're proud. And not only that, but like we're talking about Despised Icon, but like the dudes in the band themselves, like they're so humble, just cool and down to earth and nice with everybody. It's like you're rooting for these kinds of people in general. You want them to succeed. It makes it even more wholesome, in my opinion, to be proud of people like that. They're supporting everybody always. I'm sure you can attest to that. They've always been just kind with everybody, right? So
they're awesome. They're really cool dudes, and they were fun to tour with. So hopefully you can do it again in the future, because I'd love to. But yeah, absolutely great band, and yeah, everything you said is true.
And it would do well, by the way. A tour with you guys and it would do extremely well, I think.
Talk about another band that just kept going more extreme. Right, like they never took the foot off the gas pedal either. They've always just been going faster and crazier. So I don't know how y'all do it, man. It's
don't understand their drummer though. I have to say I don't understand how you do that. Yeah. But
I don't know what they're feeding Brian, but they should keep feeding him it.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, whatever he's eating, he's on a good diet.
Insane.
Speaking of that tour that I was just alluding to, how's the recent touring been? Because you guys just did the recent Euro headliner, and then before that was the American headliner with the Ingested, Peeling Flesh, Extermination. That was a badass lineup. How were those tours?
Really good. The American tour was probably the biggest tour we've done in the States, definitely headlining. It was a great package, and Peeling Flesh have a lot of hype at the moment too. So I think the combination of bands and the fact that they're really hot at the moment. It's the first tour we did on the new album, so things went really well. The turnouts were great, but vibes are really good on the tour. Everybody was super nice. The guys from Extermination Dismemberment, a great band too, super nice guys. Every band just was really good live, and I think it was just a good time for everybody that came to the show, and 4 different bands that all sound pretty different from each other as well.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good, varied package, but very extreme at the same time. But it was a great time. Definitely one of the best US tours I've done, so can't complain. The European one was cool too. Also, again, just really easygoing. We had a bunch of really cool bands with us on tour. Zenith Passage, a bunch of people we know from back in the Faceless back in the day. So
yeah, that's it.
It's great to, connect with them again after all these years. And we had Derek from Zenith come up on stage and do The Shape of Hate, which is normally only from Archfire's part. he
Yeah.
did that with me every night. So that was really cool to share the stage with someone that, we've known for, I don't know, first tour with them was Summer Slaughter in 2008, I want to say.
Mm.
So we've known him that long, and to finally, reconnect, be on tour, and do stuff together was really cool. It was a great time.
That's cool, man. Yeah. So hey, we we nerd out about the MySpace era. That's what we do here. That's like our thing. And I think Aborted's kind of in a particular scenario compared to a lot of bands that we talked to from that time, because you guys were already kind of established, at that point. It's not like you guys were a new band that was coming onto MySpace for the first time and blowing up, because we've seen so many of those stories, right? But you guys were already established and many albums in. So I'm curious from your perspective, like what kind of the transition to MySpace was, and kind of what that platform did for you guys. Was that like a game changer for you guys, despite being already known? Like, yeah, I don't know. I'd love to hear you kind of riff on MySpace for a minute.
MySpace was cool. I think the thing that everybody misses about MySpace is that there was no algorithm. So, whatever you posted, all your fans actually saw, which is what a crazy concept.
Crazy, right?
But crazy, right? And you could actually, I remember, like, you could fucking CSS and HTML hack the page and make it look, all sick, like it was a website. So that was cool. But like, you said, we were already kind of older by that time, which makes me a dinosaur now. But we were already, we're not the MySpace generation, to put it that way. We did the whole MySpace thing. We were on there, but we're not like your Suicide Silence or Job for a Cowboy that absolutely exploded with that, and that's super great for them. Great bands also. But I think for us, and especially for death metal, I don't know if MySpace was the biggest platform for death metal per se.
Mm-hmm.
I think for deathcore, it definitely did a lot of things for metalcore, for whatever was the younger crowd back then, and it was fun to be on. And I remember it was much easier to communicate with your fans and do cool shit in your page. And unfortunately, all of that has gone with algorithms.
I think, first of all, you're definitely right. Second of all, it kind of sucks that we never had something to properly replace that, especially for artists and stuff, like, I'm just go ahead and say it. Facebook always sucked for band, and it still does. So it was unfortunate, because for once you could just have an actual update. You wanted to know what your band is doing, like your favorite bands, you could look it up. They would, like, you remember the blogs, right? You would write like, oh, we're in the studio. It was awesome for that. So, and it's weird that it was never properly replaced, in my opinion. Like, it wasn't. But something you said was really interesting. I found, like, the death metal part wasn't maybe as big as deathcore in terms of MySpace, but there was a few exceptions. Like the Black Dahlia Murder was always like a death metal band, but certain, I don't know if you noticed it, but like certain specific death metal band kind of was associated with it. Like, did you perceive that at the time, or it was kind of just like all happening? Was that the case a little bit still for you to have some traction in it back in that era?
I mean, we did have some traction. We did put in some work for sure. And it's interesting you bring up Black Dahlia, because before I knew Black Dahlia, I thought they were actually a deathcore band, because they were much more popular on MySpace, and the deathcore crowd really loved them. But if you listen to them, they're much more of a Gothenburg inspired, death black metal band. So they're definitely not a deathcore band, but that's definitely, I think, also with the merchandise designs that they had and the image that they had, the look that they had, I think that's why that kind of stuff really worked for them. Fantastic band, by the way. Also super great guys. We toured with them a bunch of times. Always great. And yeah, it definitely worked for them. but they also, like I said, they looked like, the more core kids, and they had that aesthetic going on, which I think works with what you said.
Right,
Yeah,
right. It kind of
exactly.
had a bit of the swoopy hair going on.
I want to
Back then,
commend
yeah,
you
for
guys
sure.
I want to commend you on something though, because there was very few death metal bands that would be just cool with whatever is new. Like Despised Icon, I think we can classify them in that way as well. They just like played with the band and was fine. And I think you guys were like that, but I'm sure you still remember that there was still a big, I wouldn't say resistance, because it sounds like it's like a movement, like something's like bigger than it was, but like the death metal community, when you said core kids, there was still kind of a big stigma, right? Like, how is it for you guys to kind of, I know you guys were, I think, cool with that. Like you just, you didn't, but I'm sure you heard many things though, and you probably, people in death metal. Did you see that kind of?
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say resistance. I don't know what the right word is, but kind of yeah.
It used to be way worse than it is now. Even though, I mean, I guess still in a way, we never gave a shit, because personally, to me, I don't care about anything of that. Either band's good or it's bad. I don't care what style it is and what scene you're in, or what your haircut is, and what I don't give a shit. If your band's cool, I'll check it out and I'll have a blast with it. And if it's, in the end, it's still extreme music, and there's no reason it shouldn't be able to live together with death metal, because there's a lot that both scenes can learn from each other, still to this day, I think. So I think it's silly to have this divide. And back in the day, definitely, and we definitely got hate back in the day for, playing with Despised Icon, playing, or touring with deathcore bands as well. And we still do, which again, I don't give a shit. We'll play with bands that we like, and if you don't like it, don't come to the show. I don't give a shit. Just have a good time. Open your mind, and it's fine. You don't have to be a gatekeeper. Nobody's helped with that kind of stuff, if you ask me. And it's a bit of a shame to have a little segue. I'm sorry, but something that I found was really a shame was when they announced the Summer Slaughter lineup with I think Brand the Sacrifice. That whoever was running Summer Slaughter was really trying to reinforce that divide, and was saying like, we're giving the new kids a chance and we don't care about the old heads and all that. Like, the world's small enough already. Why are you trying to split it up even more? None of that is necessary. Just, can't we just all get along? Just, why are you being a little bitch on the internet? You should know better.
Couldn't agree more on that, and he's smiling because he knows, like, that's a conversation I have all the time. Like, I never, well, and then we're both on the, we both think that. But to me, it's so weird because metal, it's already in the world considering like a small community. Like, it's like already the outcast. And then within the outcast, people are trying to say, yes, but you're not in. Like, why are you doing that? Like, you found your community. It's cool. If you listen to more, old school death metal, the environment, stuff like that, it's awesome. But also, if you love freaking Slipknot and other, who cares? Like, just you love heavy music. You're one of us. It should be as simple as that, right? Like, who cares? That's.
I mean, the irony is that all these people that complain, probably listen to some of these bands they talk shit about. Like you said, I'm going to talk shit about this other subset of metal, but I also listen to, I love Linkin Park or fucking Slipknot. It's like, make it make sense, but yeah, I've never understood that divide.
There's that, or there's the other thing that grinds my gears is people that like a certain band, and then all of a sudden said band gets bigger, and then they have to start hating on it. It's like, no, just stop it. No. I'm sorry, it's not yours anymore.
The thing I always say to that sort of thing is like, those albums that you love still exist. They didn't disappear from the internet. It's all good. Everything's gonna be okay, and no one owes you anything. It's like they're doing whatever the fuck they want, and maybe and I'll even say this for the people that even if they were actually like, because that could be a whole debate in itself. But even if the band's selling out, that's still a thing they wanted to do. That's their own prerogative. That's their own thing, you know, like let them do what they want to do. And, you know, if they fall on their face for it, then they do. And if not, whatever. But like, you know, you're never, people act like the music is being taken away from them when that's never the case. Right. It's, I don't know, it's a weird egotistical, like selfish thing that I'll never understand.
Yeah, no, I agree.
What I don't get also is, you know, because like the best example to me of that, one of the best example I've ever had was Job for a Cowboy. You know, they dropped Doom and they were associated with Deathcore, and it's not. I still listen to that, by the way. It's like it's freaking amazing. But like afterwards, you know, they were death metal dudes, so they kept just doing death metal, and they still always got shit for it because they started in the deathcore movement. I never got it. I'm like, they're still doing amazing death metal. They're great at doing that. Who cares if they started, you know?
Yeah, they got shafted from both sides. Like there was no.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah.
I was about to say there's like a damn if you do and damn if you don't kind of scenario for them. Unfortunately, like the same thing kind of happened to Abigail Williams. Yeah, they started in that blackcore kind of thing, you know, what have you not, and then they kind of wanted to get taken seriously by the black metal fans, but they would never accept them, and then they turned their back on their core audience. So,
yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. I don't know, man. It's just to me, there's gonna be new fans for anything, and the music never disappears. I don't know. It's all There's, you know, without even getting into the concept of hating on the internet as a whole is kind of a weird thing to begin with, right? Like no one cares about anyone's opinion.
It's a
like,
whole thing.
You know, it's like whatever, man. You know, but
yeah.
Anyways,
absolutely.
It's also always what's also crazy to me is some people can say it's their favorite bands like since forever, and with one album, a song or something, they hate it. I'm like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? Because even if a band changed their sound somehow, I'm the kind of person that even years before, I'm still rooting for them. You know what I mean? Like it was important in my life. So I'm still like, I hope, you know, even if I'm not even listening to what they're doing, I'm still kind of hope it's doing good. But there's specific people that take it so personal that they're like, I hate it now. It's the worst, you know. So I'm like, you know, you swore about that band like a week ago, so that we
got a bipolar epidemic on our hands, something like that.
Yes, clearly, that was my point. Well said.
Just a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. Carnifex's 15-year anniversary tour for Hell Chose Me, featuring Suffocation, Devourment, Distant, Body Box, and Monochromatic Black, is currently going full force all across the US. You can check out the remainder of the dates over at carnifexmetal.com, and you can check out merch from Carnifex, Suffocation, Devourment, and Distant over at indiemerchstore.com. Currently got a few albums that are about to come out right now that have got some pre-orders over on the website as well. We're talking Lorna Shore, we're talking Signs of the Swarm. We've also got Shadow of Intent, who just dropped their album, but there's still some album related merch and stuff available for purchase over at indiemerchstore.com. You can use code BRUTALITY at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. That's again code BRUTALITY for 10% off. A big thank you to Indie Merch Store for sponsoring this episode. Brutality Podcast is currently sponsoring not one, but two tours. The first of which is currently going strong. It's the Thus Spoke Zarathustra album release tour. It's going all across the US, and it's got a bunch of really awesome revival bands doing regional dates across the entire tour. The second is the Bring Back the Brutal Tour 2025, featuring Peacemaker and I Saw God. The tour runs from July 5th to the 27th. It's hitting the East Coast and the south of the US mostly. I'll have links to both of these tours down in the description if you want to check out more info about the specific dates, as well as a lot of ticket links. I don't want to drag us back into Myspace too much, but you did a bunch of graphic design work kind of around that time. Were you dealing with some of your guys' layouts and stuff on Myspace?
Oh yeah. I made all of them, and then someone else coded them because I was always useless at coding. But yeah, I used to do a whole bunch of graphic design for bands. I did I did the re-edition of Despised Icons first album as well.
Hmm.
I used to do some merch for them. Did some merch for Black Dahlia. I think for Whitechapel as well. Suicide Silence as well. So I used to do a bunch of shit back then. Yeah.
I thought I was looking. I was on Wayback Machine and looking at the old MySpace profiles,
Mhm.
and I just it like caught my eye because there was like this one layout you guys had where like the profile picture from the actual like MySpace like interface was gone, and it was like replaced by like a whole other image that wasn't like something you could click on. I was like, that's only like someone who does design and like wants it to look as best as possible that's going to think about these things. I was like, it's got to be him. There's no other way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm still a designer, so I'm still doing all that kind of stuff, but not so much for other bands anymore. I don't have time. I do it as my day job, but yeah, back then I was doing a lot of stuff. I did album covers for bands and all that kind of shit.
Mm. That's cool, man. Talk to us a bit about the Belgian metal scene. Maybe kind of what it was when you started getting into music, and maybe contrasting it to now. Like, is there much of a metal scene down in Belgium?
There is. It is just very. It changes a lot. I remember when we started. We actually started out of necessity because back in like the mid '90s, it was like the whole period where black metal became super popular, and it was very hard to even get any new death metal releases back then. So that's kind of why I even started the band, because I was like, I need more death metal, so I'm just gonna do it myself. Fuck it. So that's kind of why the band started, and it was hard at first because we, like I said, we were one of the very few actual death metal bands in Belgium at the time, that were doing stuff. Um, so that's also why, I mean, something that was very popular back then, it was either the black metal scene or the hardcore scene. And we have, I don't know if you guys know this, but we had this scene in Belgium called the 8000 scene, which
Okay, no, I
was,
don't know about that.
it was a very, very specific form of metalcore, but actually metal with like hardcore. So it
Okay.
wasn't anything like, metalcore is known now, like what it is now, but it was literally like Slayer riffs with fucking hardcore riffs and breakdowns. So
Mm.
that's what that scene was. And I even for a while worked as a graphic designer for a label that released all that kind of stuff over here, which is probably also why we've also much more had a connection to like the deathcore scene, since we
Mm.
were, we kind of were playing a lot with those metalcore bands back in the day, because that's the only shows we could get back then. So that's kind of how that whole thing grew. But if you guys ever want to get into that stuff, check out bands like Congress and Deformity and Regression, shit like that. Those are some really good bands from back in the time, or Liar even, that release like stuff that actually sounds like, I mean, it's actual metal, thrash metal, death metal with like hardcore riffs in it.
Okay,
So
that's
that
cool.
that was back then, and it took a while for us, to get going, and then death metal got popular again. It got a bit easier. Then deathcore took over, of course, and I think we've always kind of had our one foot in one scene and one in the other, kind of. So that's why we kind of always were able to play with a lot of different kind of bands. As far as the scene in Belgium goes now, there's again not too much extreme metal. There's Carnation, Schizophrenia, which are like the old school death metal bands, kind of. You
Okay.
get my other band, Coffin Feeder, that's
Mm-hmm.
more going towards deathcore, I guess. And I think there's a couple of smaller deathcore bands too. I'd have to like. There's our drummer's other band, When Plays Collide. That's like an actual straight like deathcore band, more in like Lorna Shore kind of stuff. But other than that, there's a lot of the biggest stuff in the scene right now over here is more like progressive stuff. Bands that sound like Mastodon or Neurosis and shit like that. So all that kind of stuff is a lot more popular here than what we're doing.
And then did that kind of lack of maybe of a local scene kind of get you guys to play out of the country at all, or was it, was there the possibility for that for you guys back then, or was it you guys were just confined to Belgium?
No, I mean that's kind of it's an interesting story because the way where we started back in the day, there was only one agency really doing like metal tours back then called Brutality, and they were from Belgium. So them being from Belgium as well as us, they always saw us as a local band. So we never really got any chances back in like the early 2000s because they were all like, they're just a shitty local band, and then just let us open whatever festival tour that would come around. And that's the only way that we were able to like play abroad a lot was because we were like, I was booking the band myself back then and just booking shows for us all over Europe. Like we would drive fucking 10 hours to Switzerland to play a show in a weekend and back. And we were doing that for years until, Metallic kind of went down the drain and all these other agencies started popping up like Avocado or Cobra now, and they were Rock the Nation back then. There was all these other agencies that popped up, and that kind of opened the door for us to tour more internationally in Europe. So I think that really helped because that was really where the switch was needed. Because it's not sustainable to just go out on weekends and do it all weekend and have no life. And touring is kind of where it's at. So you kind of have to make that switch at some point.
Huh. That's interesting. That must have been, it's kind of, I guess the closeness to everything in Europe to kind of at least helps with, we often talk to, for bands that are in America to go to Europe, it's like a crazy thing. It's like a dream thing because everything's so close and everything. But for us, it's like, you got to take the fucking plane there and rent a backline and all these things. But it's kind of crazy even just to hear like, oh, we would drive. It's like, it's a big commitment still, but it is crazy to hear like, oh yeah, we'll drive to Switzerland for a show and then come back. It's kind of cool in a sense. That's even like possible,
I mean, it was definitely cool, and in the same way, I guess for us, playing in the United States was just as much of a crazy idea, back in the day as it is for Americans to play Europe, and definitely it's a lot more challenging because the distances in the States, as you know, are quite larger than in Europe.
Yeah. Well, or you're driving the same amount, but it's from one shitty city to another. It's not. You're not in a whole ass other.
You just
country.
reach the next McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I heard you talk about like touring the States with like two of your bands at the same time and doing different parts of the States back to back and like really hustling. I guess while you were here, I guess I was kind of trying to capitalize as much while you were down here.
Yeah, we that was with Lingche back in the day. We did with both bands. We did Maryland Death Fest, and at that time, I think we did like 6-7 shows or maybe 10 as a mini tour. I think it was Impaled, Aborted, Malignancy, and Lingche. So I played with both bands every night, and then we did Maryland Death Fest, and after that, both bands flew to LA, and we played a couple shows over there, which will probably interest you because we played Pomona and Suicide Silence opened for us back then, and that was when they did their first EP just came out. We've never heard of the band, and that was the drummer was wearing the mask. We're like, that's weird, and they started playing, and the whole place just exploded, and there were so many fights they had to stop playing like 3-4 times. We're like, what the fuck is this shit? But they were awesome. They were very good, and yeah, it was awesome to see them back then for sure.
Wow. So it's just for me, it's mind blowing because I still listen to that EP like right now, it was because at the time it was so, deathcore, obviously there's a lot of kind of deathcore, I would say, but it was so like scary and just like horror. It was weird, and with obviously with Mitch doing vocals. But yeah, I saw a lot of videos of that era, and people. I didn't know about the fights, but I knew people would go absolutely like the entire place is just like a mosh pit. Like people we're just going crazy. I didn't know about the fight part. That's really interesting though.
Yeah, I mean that night was pretty crazy. I got punched in the face like 3-4 times on stage.
On stage?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had hair and it was headbanging a lot, and there's like this really tall like dude. It's up in front, and he kept on throwing his fists up, like fist pumping. But I couldn't see him because I headbang, and every time I headbang, like straight to his fucking fist. And he kept doing it, and I was like, God damn it! So I tried to. The whole show was avoiding fists, and yeah, he got me like a good couple times.
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
Playing drums with the other band didn't sound so bad at that point, I guess.
Well,
I mean, yeah, sort of.
How do you pull that? Because you were playing drums with Ling Che, right? Like you were pulling off a set on drums and then doing a double duty on vocals afterwards. It's kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah, the worst I've done was 3 bands in a row, and that really sucked. It's no. I had a different band called Inquests where it was just like I was in there for like maybe like an album, and there was this show. I remember I had a show with Lingchi in the afternoon in one place, and then we drove to the other show where I played with both Aborted and the other band, and it was 2 sets of vocals is already horrendous, but drums and 2 sets of vocals, like no, that was a bad idea. Milk was a bad choice.
I can't imagine. I'm sure you slept well that night, I guess, if there's anything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck, dude. I mean, look, we gotta speaking of like, kind of crazy over the top stuff and live performances, we gotta talk about your stage presence and going all out on stage, because it is something that regardless of who you compare it to, whether the person is freshly 17-year-olds out of the womb with all the energy in the world or not, you outclass most people when it comes to jumping and running on stage and going fucking crazy. Why how do you do it, man?
ADHD, man. I don't know. There's no other way for me to do this. I don't know. It's just like it's what feels right with the music, and I also feel like people are there to see a show. They're not there to listen to a record. They're there to be entertained. They're there to see a bunch of crazy, dumb, funny shit, and I don't know. I just try to have a good time. I give it all I have, and hopefully that transpires to people, and it makes them get into it as well. The more they get into it, the more I'm tired the next day, so that's good.
Yeah, but I just think it's it seems, and we talk about this a lot, like it seems like an obvious thing, right? Like everything you just said, that sounds obvious. That sounds like what everyone would think. Yet here we are. Like it's not. It's somehow not for everyone. Not maybe it's. Do you feel like it's different now? Maybe like I feel like maybe back in the day there was a bit more. It was maybe more commonplace to go crazy on stage. Maybe it's just the style of music. I don't know what it is. I feel like I don't know, people just don't go crazy like that in 2025. It's just not that much of a thing. So like a person like you really stands out in that sort of thing.
I think it never really was, to be honest, though, because I mean, you had your bands that were known for that, like take your Dillinger Escape Plan. You go to a Dillinger show, you'd see the band get hurt and them do crazy shit, and it was crazy, and I think that always inspired me in a way, which is really interesting because most death metal bands are a bit more static. There's headbanging and that's that, and that's something that I also always admired about Suicide Silence. How you watch the old videos, and even still to this day, Garza is going absolutely fucking mental on stage. Mm-hmm. So I think I always looked up to that kind of stuff, And when I cut my hair, I was like, well, can't headbang anymore with the hair, so what the hell am I gonna do? And it kind of spiraled from there. I guess,
Okay, okay.
trying to, compensate for the lack of hair, and I always really enjoyed the hardcore scene as well, and hardcore bands go a lot more crazy on stage. So I think it's, a mixture of those things for me, for sure.
Hmm.
It is important though. We have this discussion a lot because like weirdly in the metalcore scene, right? Like I'm sure because like with the core kid movement, like I'm sure you're aware of that, but like the metalcore, crabcore, whatever you want to call it, like all the kids would go crazy on stage, but it was bringing another kind of energy to it, and the crowd, when you see a band going crazy on stage, you have no choice but to go crazy as well, right? But on the other side, I'm speaking for me, I always thought it was weird to see people playing crazy music not moving at all. It was always kind of just like, you know what I mean? Like my
There's
vision
like
is
a
if you
mismatch to the energy versus what you're seeing.
yeah. I get it. At the same time, there's some amazing bands. It's more, they're grounded. It's just like we're doing this badass thing. It's fine, but I just mean like in terms of preferences, you mentioned Suicide Silence. I mean, Mitch would just like look like he was about to like murder someone or something. It was insane. So like there's this. It feels like it's more of with the crowd thing, like they're going crazy, you're going even crazier, the crowd's going crazy. It's kind of this thing. So I don't know if you see it that way with the way you perform in your crowds, right? Because I saw you guys live and it felt like that. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's infectious, and at least that's why, first of all, it's cathartic for me. I need to do this to, get all the shit out of my head that's in there. But obviously, if a crowd's really getting into it as well, then you go even harder, and it just goes back and forth like that. Because, like I said, it doesn't matter what kind of band you are, and what scene you're in, or whatever you listen to. It's good music or it's bad music, and in the end, we're all there to just escape our daily routines, and our daily lives, and just, be there, and it's an escape, and have a good time together, as a family or as friends. None of the other shit matters at that moment. What matters is being there in the moment and just having a good time with the band that's playing.
well
Do you
said.
do you feel like they're like have you ever noticed? I don't want to create a divide here. This is what we're speaking against earlier, but I'm just curious because you are you are a part of a band that's played to so many different kinds of scenes, right? And like different kinds of genres of bills and stuff over the years. Like, is there like a crowd that you're like, my people, like these people always go fucking crazy. It's always a better time with these people or something like that.
That's hard to tell because it really depends on where you are as well.
Mm.
But I want to say, like, especially since COVID, and the last couple of years, that playing in North America, in general, it has been really cool. It just looks like, people go to shows to forget about all the other bullshit and have a good time. Whereas Europe is great as well, but you notice, with everything that's been happening, since 2020, really, in Europe, we've been bombarded with just garbage after garbage, and it's getting better. But at some point, like we were doing a tour in Europe, and you could feel that,
Mm.
they're not 100% there mentally. They're worried about what's happening. They're, worried about getting sick. They're worried about the war. They're worried about inflation. Like, you can tell when people are there 100% and they're having a good time, and you can tell that they're there, but also not really. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah. That's kind of, it's kind of, I've never thought about that though. That is kind of crazy to
Yeah.
be able to kind of, you can feel kind of the pressures of an entire kind of country or a scene, by
Yeah,
like
and
doing these shows or like seeing it live. Like,
that's when you start talking shit, they have a good time with them, and then hopefully they forget it, and they start focusing on what matters. Because sometimes you got to do that. It's what I like to do. I talk a lot of shit on stage. A lot of it, I mean, it's all bullshit, but ultimately the goal is just to get everybody to just focus and have, be in the moment and have a good time.
Mm-hmm. Do you what's like the weirdest? It's like the weirdest place you've played, like a venue or like some weird setting.
Egypt.
Or Egypt. Okay, talk
Egypt,
to us about
100%. Well, first of all, our band name is illegal there, so they couldn't like I mean it's a very Islamic country. So abortion is obviously, not that the band has anything to do with abortion, but, conservatives and whatnot will link it to that for some reason. Mm-hmm. So they were not allowed to call us Aborted over there. And the promoter wanted to put like big billboards. So they were like huge billboards with our faces on them, like on skyscrapers and shit in Cairo. But they had changed the name to Aborted with a P. The funny thing is, in Arabic, the P doesn't exist and they pronounce it as a B. So it said aborted anyway when they read it out loud. So, so that was pretty funny. But we played a venue next to the Nile, the river the Nile. It was like under a bridge. And right before going on, the promoter was like, so yeah, the cops are here. And here's a list of things you can't do. You can't talk about God. You can't swear. You can't do this. That was like a whole list, like I don't know, like 20 fucking things, whatever, that I couldn't talk about. And the cops were standing on the side of the stage.
This thing.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry I have violated your terms 100 times over. But so the cops were standing on the side of the stage and they were filming the entire time to note down like if I was doing stuff that wasn't okay, and then either I'd go to jail or well, the whole band would go to jail. I guess I had that power.
Oh, no pressure, right?
No, no pressure.
No pressure.
And then right, or the promoter would get fined per like infraction. It depended on what it was. And next to that, there was a lot of people there, but what we didn't know is that crowds are not allowed to have pits and whatnot. So they were really just standing there watching, but that's because that's all they were allowed to do. And that was a very weird experience. So, we start playing the show, and one of the things was like, you can't curse. And I go up and like within 10 seconds, I'm like, bang your fucking heads. And like, I look at the cops like, whoops. Yeah, but they don't understand screamy poopy voice, so it's all good.
Yeah, nothing came of it. I take it.
Nothing came of it, but it was very weird. That we played that place, and there was a lot of like people with the hijab and all that stuff, which you don't see at shows. Let's be honest, in Europe or in the US, and there was all that, and then it's just like interesting to see fans from there and enjoying this kind of music in their own way, because in the way that they're allowed to. So that was interesting. South Africa was interesting too, but that's a different story.
Well, we're here for the stories.
Yeah, we're here for it.
So,
we're
here for the stories. All right. So we played in Johannesburg, and right next to the venue was an abortion clinic. So that immediately was pretty fucking funny.
Okay.
On brand.
And that was very on brand. They were crazy. It was a thing called Witch Fest, and fans were absolutely crazy. And it also a very, very different demographic than what we're used to over here. And it was just a really good time. Very different people. A very crazy place, I'll say that. We couldn't go anywhere without a chaperone because it was dangerous as hell. So, but yeah, very interesting.
Oh, you kind of like escorted from like the flight from where you were. Did you guys drive in, or is that a flight scenario?
Oh, that's a flight. Yeah, South Africa's South Africa's far. So it was far. It's more or less in the same time zone, which is funny because it was like it's a pretty far flight. And what was really weird is like the hotel they put us up looked like a plantation.
Oh
So
no.
it was-
Oh no.
that felt a little weird. We were like, okay, that's weird. And we saw all these signs everywhere and barbed wire that said like armed response. And armed response apparently over there is a thing where the cops don't really do that much for security, but if you have money, you can hire these mercenaries to come protect your house. It's a crazy thing.
Holy fuck, man.
Pretty relaxed in Montreal in comparison, and I'm hearing that. I'm like,
here you'll get your van broken into, but that'll be
yeah.
At least it's not the armed patrol, I guess.
That's another crazy thing about Egypt. Like we went to sightsee, see the pyramids and whatnot, and the cops are driving around in these weird pickup trucks, but they were all masked and they had like AK-47s and shit, and you're just like you're seeing it and you're like, what the hell? Crazy stuff.
I love that everything you do is like under extreme pressure. Like it's supposed to be like you're technically like a guest to play music. You're there for fun, and yet it's like you're seeing like weapons, and it's just, I know it's different in those places, but I can only imagine like it's a special welcoming environment. Maybe I'm gonna say it like that.
Well, it's just really weird because we're not used to it, right? I'm sure for people there, it's just normal, But when you're not used to it and you see this kind of shit, you're like, okay.
Yeah, it's I remember like real quick, like I did like I lived in Mexico for 5 months, and I come from Canada, right? Like weapons here, honestly, it's like there's just no weapon here, and there it's normal to be stopped in your car, and it's like these people with assault rifle, and I fully remember like I was sleeping, right, and I kind of just woke up to someone in the window with like a weapon, and I was just like, I remember thinking, this is it. Like I think this is it. And the person in the car is just like, dude, relax. It's normal here and stuff. And they were like, look at my backpack. But as you said, for someone who's not used to that, it's just like, it's honestly terrifying. I'm just going to say it like that. It's like, it was weird. But for them, it's just, if it has been around since forever, I guess it's just what it is, right? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the topic, maybe of censorship, can we kind of talk about? No, but I'd love to talk about just like art, gore. What's the limit for something that's going to be too gory on artwork or T-shirts? Or do you have any thoughts about that? Like, because it is a very the whole band is kind of centered around, horror movies and gore and video games and all these things that, a lot of violence and these things. So is there like something that's like, is there a line for you guys, like something that you're like, maybe we shouldn't do this? Or have you had trouble in the past from artwork you guys have put up? Or I don't know, I'm curious about that sort of thing.
I mean, I remember like we got censored to hell when Engineering the Dead came out. We had a song called Nailed for Her Cunt, and the Germans, oh boy, did they not like it.
Okay.
Oops.
They were not happy. No, yeah, we got slammed in a lot of magazines just because of the song title, And the funny thing is, like in Germany, when the record came out, that we had to change. I think they changed the song of the title of the song to Nailed Through Her Count, which makes no sense.
Okay.
And we had no idea.
Random word generator here. Okay, it's gonna be this. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just add an O. That makes it better. No one knows what this is about. But yeah, it's not really. I mean, we did, like, funny enough, the Strychnine record got flagged for being too violent. They had to be censored, which was kind of weird because it didn't seem that bad to me. And even funnier, the new Coffin Feeder record got censored. We had to change the cover for digital release because it was inciting violence, apparently. Like, Believe Digital refused to put it out. Yeah. They had to change it.
Really? That's kind of crazy because it's by far not the craziest artwork I've seen on streaming platforms. I'll say that much.
No, but they decided to give it a political meaning. and they, for some reason, were like, "Oh, it's the Capitol being stormed, so you're trying to," which it is not. First of all, it's not the Capitol, and no, that's not. No, it's called Big Trouble, and it's what we tried to do there is envision the most crazy, over the top, dumb scenario we could imagine, and it's the president's an alien, and all these action, movie figures are bursting in to kill the Secret Service, which are Terminators. I mean,
It's
there's
very
Gizmo
clearly
and
a parody of
Skeletor.
so,
It's all just like, it's a bunch of crazy dumb shit. There is no political message. There's nothing. It's just a bunch of stupid shit that we liked as kids. It's like, stop trying to put meaning in. That's what pisses me off. Like, stop trying to give meaning and trying to divide people with everything. It's not needed.
Especially because you don't even know what's the meaning of it behind. Like, you don't even, like, you're censoring something you don't understand. That's the part that I have problems with. Like, if it's something really and especially, it's really tricky, right? In art, it's like censoring like a horror movie. Yes,
Yeah.
but it's like, it's violent. Yeah, that's the goal. That's the entire point of the movie, right? So it's always weird. And as Dums just said, like, there's worse. Like, there's specific albums that are never been censored, and it's pretty like really extreme. So I would be curious to, like, even know what the line is for these people. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it feels like it's really selective in terms of, this seems to work.
Absolutely.
So
the thing is, it's open to interpretation from whoever is reviewing it at that time, and there's not really anything you can do to it, because they were like, "Oh, it's the storming of the Capitol," and we're like, first of all, it doesn't look anything like the Capitol. It is not. And storming what fucking Skeletor and Gizmo are attacking the. What are you talking about, you dumbass?
You're gonna give people ideas.
Storming what? Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't get it.
It's honestly, it's kind of funny to me that that's the sort of thing, as opposed to a lot of the more gore stuff on Aborted records, right?
Yeah, sure. But, like, a woman getting ripped in half and her fetus getting impaled by whatever the hell. No, that's fine. That's totally cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, let's get rid of Skeletor, Lopan, and fucking Bruce Willis crawling away. Yeah, what the hell?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
very
dude,
selective.
We're laughing, but it's like, I can understand being in your scenario and being in your shoes and being like, well, what the, you commission this art. It's, it's money. You've got to change it now to, you gotta, it's a whole thing that's like, so there's more, it goes deeper than just like, oh, okay, just change it. Well, yeah, just change it. But, like, that was the art for our whole fucking thing, like, the fuck do you want us to do? Well, I didn't even notice. What did you guys change it to for, like, how did you guys go about changing it?
Oh, not much. I just, because the whole layout of the album has, like, yellow pieces to it too. Like, I covered part of the artwork in yellow, and they had some figures pop out, and that's it.
Okay.
Then, the actual CD and vinyl have the full artwork, and I'm glad we didn't have to pitch the band picture, because that's something. They might want to censor the band picture too.
Let's not give them any ideas here.
You'll get censored even more after the release. They're going to make research.
Going to be put on a list.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they're trying to storm the Capitol with dildos.
Well, at this point, could be. No, but it's like, it's interesting to hear that, because, like, can be it's good to have a perspective for bands in general, because, like, as much as it's, we're laughing about it, it still hurts, right? Like, when things get censored or, like, not pushed and stuff, it's already so much work, right? To work on music and stuff, and then for, like, sounds stupid to say, for artwork, it's like you don't get the same exposure. So it's weird, but you still have to think about it in the process of creating it. It's like shit.
especially for that record. So because we had some serious delays getting that thing ready, and we were just like, all right, it's coming out, and then it gets denied, and we worked so long on the artwork too, and Dan, the artist, was like, it's cartoony, it's funny, it's like there's really no reason to. And with the delays in the recording on top of that, it was just like, God damn it.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of Coffin Feeder, can we talk about that for a bit? Because I really enjoy the new record. It's a cool.
You.
I don't know. To me, it's just like more extreme music. Like you've alluded to it being like more deathcore, but it's still not like a deathcore record by any means. It's like super extreme, a la Aborted, if anything, right? But this is with like some more local people to you and people from old bands and stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's all people from Belgium, and the it's a bit more in the deathcore direction, is because it's got a lot more breakdowns. It's got a lot more slower shit. It's got a lot more heavy shit, I guess. It's a lot less technical and fast and aborted, but yeah, it's all people from here. The bass player is actually the guitarist in Lingche, and that's how we started the band. We've been talking about doing something together again for years, and when COVID hit, that was kind of like the opportunity to, pick it up, because I wasn't able to see anyone from Board for like 3 years.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. The drummer we have now is also stepping in for Aborted. He's called Sibe. And then the two guitarists are from like a metalcore band from Belgium called Fleddy Melkuli. And they want to play something heavier. So, that's how the band got put together.
That's cool. Was that kind of, I know Aborted's had like international members for, for the majority of the band's, tenure at this point, right? Was there something to being able to write music with people that, actually live nearby, or actually like, were you guys getting in a room together to write music, or it was COVID? So I guess maybe not.
Really.
Yeah.
Not really, because I mean, yeah, first of all, we couldn't, but second of all, like, I'd say like technology has evolved so much over the last years that it's not always super productive to be in a room and try to jam shit out. It's just easier to just like track stuff, and then go for it. What we did do is we all met together. Like the first EP was written like that. We'd have writing sessions at the guitarist place. He has like a studio. So we'd be jamming ideas there, recording riffs, and then puzzling the songs together there, programming drums on it. And then after that, we'd actually get in a jam spot and play the songs. So we'd write them, in the computer way, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We'd write them in Cubase, but then we would jam them together as a band and see how it feels if we need to change stuff. Something that we don't really have the opportunity for it to do with Aborted. So that's quite different. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there kind of a lot of that back and forth? Like, okay, you're jamming stuff and you realize, oh, maybe we could do this thing differently instead, or, oh, this doesn't work as well as we thought, or maybe more. Like, was there a lot of that kind of tweaking from jamming, or did it kind of relatively stay the same?
From jamming here and there, yeah. Some songs were written also while we jammed, like Severed Survival, the last song from the first EP was half of it was written in a jam session. But it was most of the feedback came because like people in the band come from very different scenes. So they have very different approaches to writing songs. And that's what created somewhat, some interesting clashes at the beginning. Because like the guitarists play in a metalcore band and are used to more like structured songs that they go like, okay, verse, chorus, pre-chorus, that kind of shit, and repeat. Whereas then, Jan and I come from the grind and death metal scene, and we're just like, fuck it, riff salad, it's cool.
Yeah. Anything but
that's it.
Yeah.
Anything but structure. Let's toss it all out. It's so cool. If it sounds cool, it's cool. So, that kind of like butted heads in the beginning, but then you kind of start trusting each other's process and just kind of go with it. And, sometimes there is need for a little bit more structure, and sometimes it's beneficial for the song that you have less structure, but you're building up a story that you're kind of telling throughout the, song musically or sonically. So it depends, yeah.
That's cool, man. Um, what are some of your favorite bands? Maybe current. I'm curious to what you listen to like these days.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to cheat now and check what I have been listening to. So, what have I been listening to? I've been checking out the new Employed to Serve lately. That's a pretty cool band. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I'm not.
I'm stoked for the new Censorship for sure as well.
The new song is fucking nuts, man. I'm so fucking hyped on. I can't wait for the record, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been listening to a lot of Darko as well. Rise of the North Star. Disembodied Tyrant. The newest Whitechapel's fantastic as well. So there's a lot of good stuff, man. I listen to a lot of different stuff. I like the new Architects a lot too. Humanity's Last Breath is something I've been listening to a lot lately as well. And then, you know, all the death metal stuff, the latest Suffocation record, the new Cryptopsy records are all fantastic. So there's a lot of really good music and a lot of different styles out there.
Dude, the new Cryptopsy album is so good, man. They're again another band that keeps getting better in my opinion. I know they've got like classics. We're all about None So Vile, but like I don't know, man. I really enjoy their kind of more modern approach to what Cryptopsy sounds like on recent albums. It's so fucking good, man. Production is so good too.
Yeah, Chris does a fantastic job, both writing and producing, and Matt's been doing a great job too. I mean, they've been releasing great material since fucking ages now, and I'm glad to see like people picking up on it again now too.
Yeah, there was, I guess, like a bit of a lull, like member, like vocalist change, and yeah, I feel like people didn't give them their flowers for a minute, but yeah, they're doing some cool touring and stuff as of late too. And I know, you know, Matt's been like wanting to focus more on the band too, and I don't know. I think they're kind of like finding a new love for the thing, which is cool to see.
Yeah, and then they're diversifying the bands that they're touring with, and what's always has been kind of weird to me is that Matt's been in like the longest vocalist of the band. He's been there for forever now. So, I mean, you know, and he's doing a great job. He's doing a great job on stage vocally and carrying the band forwards. And people need to get over fucking None So Vile and actually pay attention to what's been done since, because they're much more than that.
Yeah.
Ties back to the other conversation though. It's kind of it's so difficult for people to just like, you know, I'm gonna say move on in general, and sometimes I'm one of these people, so I cannot really. It happened to me a few times, but it's always like at a certain point, people need to understand, like they're a band, they want to, you know what I mean, like, and especially when the new vocalist or the new member is there for freaking like forever, it's like that's the band now, you know, like it's fine. And as we say very often, the album is still there. Like the album that you like, it's still available. You can still listen to it. There's no problem. It's fine. But especially there's a thing with vocalists though. There's definitely a thing with vocalists. It's very difficult for people
look,
to.
I'll be the first to say there's no Aborted without Sven. Let's be real.
Well, it would be definitely weird. On. It would be weird.
No comment.
They'd have to do it for longer than 30 years for people to come around to it.
That would be something.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at Cryptopsy, I think Matt's been there over not 10 years, but almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
Or wait, no, over 10 years. He joined in 2008, so it's been way over 10 years. So, you know, he's been there for half the band's existence. You know, people need to. If Lord Worm would still be wanting to do this, he would be. But and he's a fantastic guy. You know, and you know, we toured with him. It was a funny moment. Like we played with them in the House of Blues in LA on our first US tour, and those that don't know, the House of Blues in LA used to be in Anaheim, used to be in Disney World. So we played in the park, and it was interesting to go have a beer with a guy called Lord Worm in the cafe. This is pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, there's been tons of stories about those sorts of venues not allowing some of the more extreme bands to even play their venues. Has that never been a problem for you guys, the Disney venues?
No, I mean it didn't. I think they started doing that after we played there. Because I mean it wasn't an issue when we played, but there was very hefty security. Like all the vehicles had to be strip searched and everything. Like everything. You were going for security for a really long time before you could even get into the park. Which I get. You know, you don't want to risk anyone getting any weapons or whatever. But no, we didn't have any issues. But I did hear the years after that they didn't do metal shows anymore, and then they moved the House of Blues outside of the park. So
Yeah.
it's still there. We played it on the Chaos and Carnage with Suicide Silence and Dying Fetus last year, or the year before. So we did it on that tour, and it's much bigger also, but it's outside of the park. It's no longer inside, which
Yeah,
bummer.
Kind of sad to hear that. We got a bunch of metal T-shirts for the bands that were banned from the venue, so don't get any of those anymore. I guess. yeah. The Artist Murder had been canceled on like the day of or something, and they made a shirt out of it. Yeah,
really,
a few of those.
That's funny.
Yeah. Hey, okay, maybe would love to kind of land the plane here, I guess. I'd love to maybe talk a bit video games. You're a big enjoyer of video games?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
What's the drug of choice? What do you enjoy?
A little bit of everything, but lately I don't have that much time. And when I have like an hour to game or whatever, usually I go online and play with my friends. It's like a social thing, and then we play Warzone and get absolutely annihilated by 10-year-olds. So
10-year-olds and cheaters nowadays. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. I didn't want to sound salty, but yeah, no, I do that, but I play a lot of the Dark Souls kind of stuff too. Elden Ring. What was I playing lately? Finished Kazan, the first Berserker.
Oh yeah, cool. How'd you like that?
I went back. It's good. It's cool. I really liked it, but I did find it a bit repetitive at some point, because they started like repeating the same bosses and just giving them a bigger health pool. And at some point, you're just like, all right, well, I know the moves, and I'm just like parrying and dodging the entire time, and it just takes for fucking ever because you gave this guy way too much health, and at some point it just kind of gets old.
Yeah.
It's a sick game. I really like the graphical style that they had, but it started getting a bit repetitive at some point. Something that I felt like Elden Ring did a little better. But also, I mean, they've been doing these games for decades now, I guess. I don't know when Dark Souls came out, but it must have been a while. It was PS3, was it?
Yeah, I don't know what the first one came on, but yeah, I mean, it's been a minute. I mean, and regardless, I mean, masters of their craft for sure,
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of stuff, I started since, I watched the new season of The Last of Us, so I started playing that game again. But get sidetracked, and then everyone's like, "Hey, you want to play Warzone?" And yeah, sure. So that's where it ends up on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
And you've been gaming more than I have.
Oh, well, no, but I'm not a good example because like I used to be very current what I was playing, but honestly, I'm a huge fan of like early 2000s. So like I have like my PS1 still, my first Xbox. So like this week, honestly, I was playing Halo 2. So that I'm not like the best. I'm playing like Tony Hawk Underground on like Halo 2. I used to be really, you remember the gaming era with like Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty, and like Black Ops 1, all that stuff. I was like always online, Halo 3, all that. It was insane. But over time, I don't know. Now I'm playing kind of in my bubble, if that makes sense. So that's kind of happens. I'm playing like old games. So when people ask me, I'm like, oh my god, like it's gonna be disappointing as an answer. But yeah, I love that era. So
Yeah, no,
You,
for sure. Those were the good days too. I mean, I'll agree to that.
oh yeah.
Halo
You
1
guys-
and 2, Gears of War, hell yeah.
Oh yes, it was insane.
You, I mean, kind of up the Gore route. You ever been like a Mortal Kombat guy or any of that sort of stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I should have mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah. Not so much the last one and the last two, I think, because it started getting a bit too much. But yeah, dude. Oh yeah, absolutely. In the arcade, even like, I remember I was a young kid and I went to like a theme park and there was an arcade machine with Mortal Kombat 1. And I was just, I don't know, I'll try to play this fighting game. Didn't know what I was doing, and of course I died, and then fucking Sub-Zero ripped my head off, and I was like, ooh,
How
what
do I
is
do
this?
That? Yeah.
And yeah, and that was it from there on.
Yes.
And it was so
Yeah, I
difficult
played all
back
of them.
then. Like, do you remember how difficult it was to do like a fatality? Like nowadays, it's like you look, it's like a couple of buttons. Back then, I remember being with my friends and like, and if you miss, like, it's like it doesn't work. You know? It was complex.
Yeah, it's like back, forward, down, go get a coffee, drink a mochaccino, fucking press start, do a cartwheel, and then Y, and here's your fatality. It's fucking retarded shit back then.
Pretty much how it went.
Prepped you for some good timing for some Elden Ring down the line, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. You could say that.
Yeah, no, they had a weird period when they tried to go like all 3D like Tekken. That was weird. That I hated that period, but they've definitely gone back the right route when they did. I think was it 10? 10 was really sick.
They went back to doing the more 2D like single. Just
classic costumes as well. I don't know if you guys remember, like they were bringing back like the original. It was really cool. Like talking like they understood what the community wanted, which is something I wouldn't say rare, but maybe not as present in a lot of games nowadays. It's cool when they listen to their fans. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's what you want.
Fan service, the old stuff coming back and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's cool to see. So
you've been doing a bit of like work on video games too, like voicing zombies and stuff like that. You did the choir stuff for the Doom game, right?
I didn't do any zombie stuff. That Travis Ryan did that. I think on I forgot the name of the game. The biker. What's it called again? Days Gone. Yeah.
Okay.
All the zombies there are Travis Ryan from Cattle Decap, so that's pretty cool. But I was on the heavy metal choir for Doom Eternal, and that was a really cool experience. Flew out to Austin, Texas, a couple days before a tour we had in the US, and spent 8 hours tracking, screaming with a whole bunch of people. I think there's like 20-30 people there. Bunch of knowns and unknowns, all really great people, really talented people, together with Mick Gordon. And he was like, it was interesting because like tracking 8 hours is not easy. It's not, it's not easy, but especially after flying in for whatever, how many ever hours it was, I was jet lagged as hell. I think my flight got canceled the first night, so I didn't sleep for basically 2 days or something until I got there. And he had a way of just energizing everybody for the whole day and just keeping this really good working environment. It was, I don't know how he did it, but he really had a way to get people to be really excited and get into it. And it's a very, very cool experience that I'll never forget for sure. It was awesome to do. There's a lot of friendships that came from that time. And the game is really sick too, so it's kind of surreal to think of that. Oh yeah, there we are.
You're playing the game and you're like you're in it. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. What is this? Yeah. I mean, you can't really discern anyone specifically because it's all like, it's literally 20-30 people at the same time, but it sounded massive over there, and it was such a unique experience. I I don't know. I can't compare it to anything else. I mean, I've been in the studio a bunch of times, so you're always in your own world. But this was like something so weird and cooperative and so high energy. It was absolutely amazing.
It's cool to hear that that Mick was able to kind of get that out of you guys though, because you know, you kind of always think of him as more of a, I get, not a solo guy, but you know, like he's a composer. Like he's, I would have assumed maybe just more in his own world, and he could have lacked the skills of conducting an entire like 20 people and to get good takes out of people. Like that's a different skill set, right? Like that's like a completely different thing. So that's cool to hear that he has that too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Born leader. He knew exactly how to direct people and how to get out of people what he needed. And he very like he handpicked everybody that was on there, right? And he picked so many like skilled people in different areas. There were throat singers, there were people that did clean vocals, there were female and male screamers, and there's a whole mix of different things. And he made people do different sounds at the same time just to see what it would end up as being. And it's really crazy. It's really cool. He really knew what he was doing for sure.
That's cool, man. And yeah, and then again, just to be on a game like Doom Eternal too, right? It's like it's not like you know, it'd be cool to be a part of any video game, even if it was some indie thing. But it's like fuck, it's Doom. You know, like what a legendary franchise, and you know, working with these legendary people and stuff.
Well, maybe
doesn't get more death metal than that.
Too.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. That's kind of cool. It lined up right before a tour too, though. Like, didn't have to go back home, and because I was thinking at first, oh, okay, you flew in to do your part, you know, before a tour, but that's just how it landed for everyone, I guess. They didn't work around your schedule.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
No. I mean, it was just like a friend of mine actually from Sacramento hit me up, but was like, you should join the Doom Choir. I was like, man, no, what the hell they're gonna do with me? They don't give a shit. And he's like, yeah, just send send them a mail. I was like, you know what do I have to lose? Why not? So I listened to him, I sent it through, and like 2 days later I got mail from Mick Gordon saying, yeah, you're in. This is the timing and shit. And then it just lined up perfectly. It was like 4 days, I want to say, before the first show. So I just changed my flights to go to Austin, and I have a friend that's from there, from Martyred, Mike, and he let me stay at his house for a couple of days. We hang out for a couple of days, got to spend some time with my buddy and his dog and his family, and do that thing. And it was by the same weekend that there was South by Southwest as well. So there's a lot of things happening in Austin. And after that, I flew to wherever the hell the first show was. I want to say it was in, I don't remember where the hell it was the first show. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I flew to, I think, LA or whatever the first show was, and that's it. Start of the tour.
Pretty cool way to start a tour. It's probably a little less stressful than usual to have the few days to chill before a tour starts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Austin's a really cool city, so
yeah. I mean, you know, South by Southwest or not, you know, it's a bustling place. There's always a bunch of stuff to do. So it must have been kind of crazy. Absolutely. With that amount of people there too, right? It's like kind of one of the few. That and Austin City Lights, those are like kind of the two main weekends over there every year.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool.
That's cool, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this, man. This was really cool. I don't know if you have anything you want to plug, anything that's coming up, anything you want to shout out. I mean, all yours, my man.
Well, I mean, honestly, thanks for having me, first of all. And this was fun. As far as plugging goes, I mean, if anyone from Europe is watching, we got some festivals coming with Coffin Feeder. And with Aborted, I think we'll have a surprise for our North American friends for a bit later. But I can't say more.
There we go. You heard it here first. Kind of. Well, looking forward to it, man. Hopefully catch you if it passes through here. But yeah, thank you so much for doing this. Seriously, man. This was an awesome chat,
Thank
man.
you. Yeah, it was awesome.
Cheers.
If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe or follow button and a review. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, it would mean the world and it helps out more than you know. A big thank you as well to all of our supporters over on Patreon and on Twitch. New episodes every week, links to our Patreon, Discord, and socials in the description. We'll see you soon. We're out.